I don't know that it just goes by so quick.
Dude.
Like
I,
you wait for the moment to actually come, and it's like it, it feels like it takes forever, but yet it goes by so quickly. It's so hard to explain.
I think just like as you get older too, and as you get into more different seasons of your life, you're chasing different goals and different
Mhm.
aspects. I mean, it really never does slow down. It's constantly like one thing after another. And before you know it, archery season's here, shed season's here, turkey season. I mean, you're just constantly chasing something.
Just something different about like hunting and how you can release stress, like just shooting the bow out back too.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you have
definitely.
a crappy day at work, and you take the bow out back and you shoot 4 arrows, and you
Yeah.
feel good after that. It's like, man, that's what hunting does. Like going to that first sit, it's like
Yep.
life is good again.
I know what you mean, and like that's how things have always been. Like even when I got into shed hunting and stuff, just being out in nature, it just has a way of just kind of decompressing, de-stressing you. And like there is not a single time that I went and hiked, 7 or 8 miles looking for shed antlers, nice cold March day where I didn't come back feeling better. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
time that I've ever came back where I'm like, oh, I feel like crap. Oh, whatever. I might be a little bit tired, but I mean, it's still a great day out there.
Welcome back to Hunt the Season, or welcome to it for the first time in your life. I'm Cody. On this one here, have my buddy John Prokop on the podcast to talk all about pretty much in-season scouting, rut hunting, how he sets up, what he's doing in the time frame. We talk about rubs, scrapes, target deer, how to get on them, food sources, where to kind of like where to set up, all that kind of good stuff. John's a really good hunter, really good guy. Puts a lot of time in the woods. He focuses a lot of time in the early season. I actually was watching his stories, and he was out scouting more than he was hunting. I did that a little bit too, as well, in the early season. Not as much as he does, though. This is when his time frame really kicks up. That late October to being November time frame, which is when this is dropping. This is obviously being recorded right now on October 30th. This intro right here. I sat down with John before the actual season started, before the whole craziness started of the season. Sat down with him to talk about this stuff, and we hear about his PA buck from last year that he shot in the late season. We also hear about his rut buck that he got in the rifle season up in New York, which was one of his targets. So it was a really, really great conversation with John. Really enjoyed it. So as I'm recording this, obviously it's October 30th. I did not go out today. It was my plan was to go out today. I took off work, all that kind of stuff, because tomorrow, obviously Halloween. I was going to spend my evening with my wife, my daughter. We're going to go trick or treating. My daughter's going to be Cinderella. I'm going to be Jack, and my wife is going to be Gus because she's pregnant. So she picked it out. She picked it out. I did not. But I'll gladly be Jack. I'm fine with wearing a red shirt and khakis. But going out tomorrow now in the morning, because it's raining all day right now on October 30th. Tomorrow it's supposed to stop like kind of like at midnight, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. time frame. So I'm actually going to go hunt a few scrapes and bedding. So when I went out on last Sunday, which would have been the 26th, when I went out on the 26th, I did an all day hunt in there. Sat up in a spot in the morning by a scrape. I was going to go by where I stalked up on that buck. I wasn't able to get to that spot because I found a scrape that was open up. I sat near that scrape. Around 7:47, had a really nice 8-point come out, and which all this will be in a video at the end of the year too, or whenever I put him out. But had him come out, tried grunting, tried bleeding at him. He was on a mission. He was cruising. He came out from where I kind of want to set up now this time, because I jumped a few deer back in posting the scouting back in April. This was March when I jumped those deer out of there. It's laurel thickets in there. There's a bunch of whip rubs in there. Laurel ripped to shit. Just rubbed down. Heavy trail in there. Scrapes in there. Big community scrape as well. And this laurel right on the side of the outside of this laurel. He came from kind of that direction there, coming down the hill, looping around. He looped back around. He looked like a really big 8-point. really white rack, really big body. Would have gladly put my tag on him. I did not have a long lens at the time. I actually just got my lens in the mail, an 18 to 135 STM lens, so I can film. It has quiet autofocus, all that kind of jazz. Fancy DSLR stuff. Yeah, so I'm going up there. Going to have a strong, strong west wind, and going to sit below those scrapes, and hopefully they're cruising below it and coming from that bedding. Kind of giving them the wind. They think they kind of giving them the wind, I would say. The off wind is what I'm giving them. But they're going to be, my thought is they're going to be cruising with the wind in their face and the thermals dropping to them right below those scrapes right there. So I might set up on this logging road that's below it, depending what I see on the logging road, if there's fresh sign, fresh rubs, because there was rubs on there before. Going to set up there and just see what happens. If a nice one comes by that really makes me want to pick up the bow, I will do that. Saturday and Sunday, I am going up to my parents' camp with my daughter and my mom to do a little hunting. I would love to put a tag on a doe or one of the really nice buck up there with my daughter up there and just have her enjoy it too and maybe drag it out of the woods with me, try and drag it, all that kind of stuff, or sit in the sled or help me pull the sled, one of the two. I just really want her to be around that and her to kind of soak it all in with me. I mean, though she's only 2, it doesn't really matter. It's just a premise of I want her out there with me for doing that. And then this obviously drops the week of our rut camp. So when you're listening to this, we are going up to rut camp this week with Zach, Brenton, Jimmy, Ethan, and myself, all going up to rut camp. Going to be hunting the big woods. We have some really nice buck on camera right now. I know Zach has a good amount of buck on camera right now. So, and there's doe on camera too, which is good. I have doe on my camera, have small buck like chase them around right now, which I think there is very close that time for when they're going to pop. And last year up there, I had a big buck cruising right there and I blew a doe out of there. So I think I just have to work on, I'm taking my one pre-hung stand up, taking my vanish up with 4 sticks, going to hang that in that 4 tree right there, the 4 base tree right there. I'm going to have my Lone Wolf 0.5 up with me as well, mobile setup up with me as well. Probably going to hunt higher in the evenings, higher in the mornings, lower in the evenings. So when that thermal's dropping, all these buck are going to be cruising the bottom, hopefully, or creek crossing and everything. I might honestly just hunt till like 10 o'clock and get down and scout a new piece. And then, depending on what I saw in the morning, I might go back to that setup and just sit back up there for the last couple hours of the day and go there. Or I might sit there all day depending on what I'm seeing. If I'm seeing a good amount of activity, I will 100% sit there all day. But it's going to be really fun. This episode is packed full of great conversation with John. Really hope you guys enjoy it. Remember to go check out the affiliates in the description. Code of Silence, Latitude Outdoors, Campco, use code HTS. That'll save you some money. We have hats. We have this hat on the website now. Orange hat. We have Bottomlands camo. We have a gray hat. We have a newer camo type looking one. We have that. Hopefully you guys like the shirts you got already. Deer age. Make sure you go get your deer age. Know what the age of your deer is. This is the one that I got done for my 6-point up there. So he was 3.5. And that is like kind of a really good age for him, I think, for that area with how much pressure to put on. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Remember to give us a rating, review on Apple and Spotify. Thanks, guys. See you later. As we're recording this right now, it's October 1st. I went up to Ethan's camp up in Potter, Clinton County area.
Oh, nice.
And did some scouting for a rut camp up there this year. Mm-hmm. And, last year I had an encounter with a big 8-point up there. That 60 yards away, like to me, when I looked at him, it looked like he came out of the laurel, right?
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think I remember this one.
Yeah, I was like, why did he come out of the laurel right there? Mm-hmm. So this time I went up there and figured it out. Like the laurel pretty much has a dead cutoff, like it's a hard line where it ends. But then 40 yards from that laurel is a steep east-facing drop off.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, so he has a 40-yard pretty much gap to walk up there when thermals are rising at like 9 a.m. because
Mhm.
that straight east facing slope,
Yeah.
all those
Makes
thermals are going to
sense.
come up. And I'm like, that's why he was cruising that, because Ethan also had a counter with a buck in the same exact spot
Really?
during rifle season
Okay.
at that 9 to 10 a.m. window.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, and then when I get there, there's a very faint trail going through this. Like, it's not like a doe trail where it's like
Yeah, yeah,
heavy
just a
beaten
beaten
down.
down path. It's just,
Yeah.
you can tell something's using it, but it's not the highly trafficked area.
Yeah. And then, when you get to this like really narrow pinch point, like it kind of has a like hourglass figure coming in,
Mhm.
there's a scrape. And I'm like, there it is. Like that's it right there. Like everything just clicked, and I was like, okay. And then to make it even better, there's a 4 trunk tree,
Oh.
20 yards, like right there. I'm like,
Perfect for a hang on.
yeah, like
Dude,
it's it's money, dude.
That
It is.
that's yeah, that's perfect because a lot of times I get into where I'm like always struggling to pick out that kill tree where it's like, oh, okay, I got lanes on this side, I don't got lanes on this side. I mean, a lot of times I'm in thick laurel, I'm in thick cover, and I have struggled to really get into a good tree. And definitely need to try saddle hunting a little bit too because, like I said, sometimes the climber doesn't work out, and even the hang on, it's just man, you're just not as flexible as you
Yeah.
need to be sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when I saw the tree, I was like, man, this is like this is like a perfect setup. Like there's now my only concern is like, I guess if it's winds over 10 miles per hour, I would say that would affect the thermals. But like if it's not really that windy out,
Yeah.
thermals are going to overpower it, especially with that how
Yeah,
steep
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah, for
that
sure.
slope is.
Yep. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no way. Like I was like, man, this is yeah. It was amazing. Like it was like
Dude,
everything in my mind just came together.
you get those moments too where it's just like, man, this is literally textbook. Everything lines up, you know.
It's like it's too easy. Like why was this so easy to
Yeah.
find? You know?
And one thing I've learned too over the years, it's like say a buck you're after, he dies, gets killed, whatever, dies of old age. Another deer usually will pick up that same area and take over the exact way that he bedded before. I mean, they're such creatures of habit, and
Hmm.
I've noticed that with whitetails, elk, snakes. I mean, they just seem to like that preferred habitat. They know how to go about using it. And
Yeah.
there's always something to take its place.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true because like I mean, there's a buck that I'm after. I don't know if he's alive or not because of his age, if he passed away or
Right.
whatever. I don't know. I don't have any camera data on him right now. Now,
Okay.
first day comes, I'll get out there. Maybe I'll check some cameras midday and
Yeah, not a
see
bad idea.
see if he's around. But if he's not, I know that another buck will eventually move in there to that
Oh,
area because
exactly.
it's like if he got that big, that old,
He was doing something
it's a good
right.
area. Right. Exactly.
Yep.
And a lot of people say I've heard people say recently like deer aren't as smart as we think they are, and I think they're they're
Mhm.
really smart. They're really smart.
They're very smart. I mean, don't get me wrong. They make mistakes. They have stupid tendencies, like when you get inside the rut. I mean,
Hmm.
you bring females into the equation, and the male species, we just do stupid stuff sometimes, and that's usually what gets them killed. I mean, when they're on a solid bed to feed pattern in the big woods, I mean, they're a lot of times bulletproof.
Yeah. Yes.
You
So
know.
before we get into this anymore, John, I want
Okay.
you to introduce yourself because you were on once before, and I think when that one we talked pretty much about like shed hunting and
Yep.
how it transitioned in like your success and all that kind of and running trail cameras. So introduce the people who you are and a little bit about what your hunting style is.
John Prokop. I've been an avid outdoorsman, archery hunter, shed hunter, pretty much anything outdoors related. I run a YouTube channel, Outdoor Fit, and I would say I'm kind of an aggressive. I can be an aggressive, you know, moderately aggressive archery hunter. I like to get close to bedding. I hunt the food sources. Mast is a key component in any type of success I've had, and a lot of bedding too. I like to hunt bedding, doe bedding, and pinch points depending on what type of season we're in.
All right. So what I want to go back to what you said before, like we had you introduce yourself about how you sometimes find yourself going in laurel. Because like I've
Right.
found myself like scouting some laurel, and
Hmm.
it's like I also feel a lot of people don't really push into laurel because they're afraid of busting things out. So like
Yeah, and it's
it,
it's very thick. It's hard to go through. You're
yeah.
always if your bow, your gun's always getting caught when you're
Hmm.
you're going through it. But one thing that I really like about Laurel, and this like why I kind of keyed in on it specifically, is that so with how hunting pressure is anymore, I'm sure you've felt the same. There's probably it feels like more pressure than ever, more cameras, more people in certain areas, and with there being a large amount of laurel in the area, it just happens to be people can't drive it.
Hmm.
So the deer they get to maturity, and myself, I'm playing the long game. So I'm hoping that I'm bouncing around different topography of the laurel, just waiting for that buck to come out on that right day, whether it's a cold front or does going into estrus, whatever. But like I said, the bucks are there, and if you hunt hard enough, eventually you're going to get an opportunity at them.
Because I went into one like it's a I don't know. I feel like this whole mountain point is like all laurel. Like I just feel
Okay.
like the whole thing's just laurel, and I kind of weave my way in. That's kind of what I like to do with laurel is like trying to find that like those like trails that deer are
Mhm.
using and like try and get through there because usually it leads to some kind of like little opening, and then you
Right.
find
Yeah.
all this sign. Like that's what I found. Like there's a stream going through, big rubs. Like there's like feeding
Yeah.
sign. And there's like there was one. It was almost like an elk. Excuse me. Almost like a wallow kind of like it was like just like like maybe the size of this room, like a 10 by 12 area,
Okay.
and it
Yeah.
was like just water. And I was like, oh my gosh! And there's a trail going through it, and it's not by like it's adjacent to the stream, but there's no running water going to it. So
Okay.
it's just puddling up there. I'm like, man, this is something I got to put a camera over. And
Did
then
you?
like, yeah, oh yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah.
I was
And
gonna say.
there was a like it was kind of I was there was a scrape. So the 10 by 12 like puddle, whatever you want to call it, was right there.
Mhm.
There was a laurel bush, like a lone laurel bush, in front of it with two scrapes underneath it. Like
Okay.
not this was like maybe April, April, because yeah, I was turkey hunting, so yeah, it was like the April
Okay.
time frame. Um, yeah, around the time frame. Um, but then on like you go through the puddle, and there was a signpost rub started on the other side. So I
Oh,
was like,
nice.
I didn't know where to hang my camera at because like there was only really one tree, and I kind of wanted everything. Like you
Yeah.
try
Yeah.
try to hang your camera to get everything, like the scrape, the water, and the signpost all together.
Sometimes
I was
that's
like,
hard to get.
yeah, I was like, I'm
You
just
gotta
gonna
pick and
hang on this
choose.
tree. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, laurel is something that I kind of want to get into. And you said that you see a lot of bucks bedding in the laurel too,
Yeah,
when the pressure's on.
depending on what time frame too. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, I'll see them bedded, not like necessarily, the deepest middle part of the laurel or anything. Usually it's like right on the fringe or, 75, 100 yards into the laurel. And I mean, like I said, it depends on the season too, because I noticed but that's like during archery season, and then late season, there's kind of a shift where I've always noticed in my area where it's more like south facing sides, and they're utilizing the topography more of like the elevation for the sun to
Hmm.
it's the winter time to keep them warm, and uh, but like I said, that's usually late season. They usually don't bed nearly as much around here in the Laurel, I've noticed.
Do you find that there's some oaks dropping to that laurel? Like there's some like the ones he has like sporadic oak trees in there too. It's like those ones. That's what's really hot.
Well, yeah, I mean that can be unfortunate too because a lot of times, like right now, so we have one of
Yeah.
the probably the best historical mast years I've ever seen in this
Really?
area. There's red oak, there's white oak, there's chestnut oak. There's it's like marbles out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like those deer that are bedded right there in the laurel, well, they don't even have to get up to feed anymore. They're literally they can sit there in their beds and there's big mature oaks dropping right right on top of them
Mm-hmm.
basically. And like as of right now, I have not had a whole lot of activity on camera just for that fact that they can literally stay bedded all day and there's food right there. They still get up and move around a little bit, you know, they don't just sit in their bed all
Yeah.
day. But I mean, like I said, it can be tough getting after them. So I try to key in on the oaks too. Like, okay, well, try to find some white oaks that are close to the edge, chestnut oaks. I mean, I'm always like today I was looking for sign. So I covered about, I'd say, a mile of this oak flat. I mean, I didn't see a rub, a scrape, nothing. And I'm like, wow, that's weird, you know, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously they're not moving very much. And then I got to it's almost like the facing side of the ridge, and there's a stream that comes through there and stuff, and it just seemed to be like all of a sudden, like as I was hitting the sliver of the ridge, there were rub, scrape, you know. So I'm thinking that the bucks are definitely they're bachelored up and they're just kind of hanging out on that one section right now. They're not, you know, going crazy far. They're not, you know, really working a ton of scrapes yet just
Mm-hmm.
because it's so early. But I mean, I think this time of year you really need to go after them and figure out where the sign's at because you know they're not moving far. But anymore, there's so many people out in the woods. There's so many people doing different things, and you know it's a good thing. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
thing to get people outside, but there's pressure everywhere
Yeah.
anymore. So like I'm going in full bore, and we're gonna see if we can. I got one buck in particular I'm trying to hunt,
Okay.
and I mean he's an absolute, you know, beautiful buck this year. He's a he's I would say a giant to me at least. But I found his sheds on my
Ooh,
birthday,
baby. Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
mean, so like you're looking at him right now.
Yep.
He gained 10 inches of brow this season.
No.
10 inches of brow tine. He put on a triple brow and a double brow on the one side.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
mean, like right now, at these sheds, he was 4.5 years old. He's
Mm-hmm.
only 5.5 this year. So I mean, like, still a relatively young buck with a lot of potential left.
Yeah, man, that's and to like you are one of the guys that's like, you find these sheds, you have all this history with these deer, and like
Mhm.
how many? I'm trying to think how I can ask this. How many years have you gotten a target buck down? How many target buck have you gotten down that you've had multiple years of history with? Put it that way.
That I've harvested
Yeah,
or just
yeah.
oh, it's been pretty, I would say, unsuccessful at that
Okay,
point. I've killed two deer that I've had sheds off of and some pictures from.
okay.
I mean, like last season I didn't have any, like I had a target buck in New
Hmm.
York. I ended up getting him. I was chasing a giant in Pennsylvania, and I mean it just could not get it together. And I have a lot of history with him. That didn't come together.
Did someone else kill him?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. You know, good for the guy. A heck of a nice guy. But I'll give you the story what happened for
Yeah,
me. So
yeah.
I have I had a pre-hung set for this deer, and he was coming through the area once in a while. I mean, I was not in his core area by any means. He was just one of those bucks. He was a roamer. He was a breeder. You know, he was the biggest buck in the area by in maturity and antler size. Like he was a brute, and he was hitting, you know, 5, 6, 7 different doe groups, and he was all over the place. I'd get him, you know, a couple nights. He'd show up one day checking out this doe group, and then the next day he'd be a mile away checking out another doe group, and he was so hard to track down. I was doing a little bit of elk guiding too, so I was like all over the place. I sold myself short, but flash forward to rifle season. I have him on my camera the night before the season. We have a fresh snow, and he is 100% on this doe. He is dogging her like you can't believe. And I'm like, man, I need to get after him. But I already made, prior arrangements. I was taking my girlfriend out and her family. We had spots set up and stuff. So I felt bad bailing on the situation.
Yeah.
I felt selfish is what ended up happening,
Hmm.
where I could get on this buck, I could track him on this doe and probably catch up to him,
Hmm.
because that doe wasn't going far. Well, I didn't do that, and we sat the first day, saw some does, not a whole lot of action, and he ended up getting killed. And I mean, it was within a couple hundred yards of my tree stand right
Oh
there. That's where he was at, and so I mean,
man. But
it's
I
one of
mean,
those deals. You gotta,
that's good on you though. That's good on you because like I feel like we put so much pressure on ourselves to like get the target buck or get the big buck
yeah,
down.
we
Like
do.
a lot of people, you know, push aside their family, the wives, their
Yeah,
girlfriends, all that
yeah,
kind of
for
stuff
sure.
because of these big deer. And it's like they're inanimate objects on the wall, right? Like it's like
Exactly,
it's a it's
exactly.
a it's a trophy, but like you still have all the trail camera pictures of them. You have all these like you have sheds of them.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
Like
I didn't
it's
have
still
sheds of him, unfortunately. I
oh
know a guy that did, but
okay. But at least you also know the guy who shot the buck too. So like you can
yeah.
still you I don't know if you were able to put hands on him at all or not.
Oh yeah, he was gonna let me. We haven't met up to do it yet,
Yeah.
but like I said, I mean, if he's back in the area, he was all game for it. I mean,
Yeah.
I still would love to see it. It was, I think, about 175-inch buck. I mean, just absolute
Oh
monster. And I mean, like I was sick over it a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
I literally spent most of my season chasing after him,
Hmm.
moving cameras and trying to get on them. But with that, I did learn a few good lessons too. I mean, if you're not on these deer, like, you keep after it. Like, you don't sit here and wait. Like,
Hmm.
okay, he's not on camera. I'm not seeing his sign. Like, oh, maybe he'll just show up. It's like, dude, you got to go out and you got to find him. So you have to get a little bit more aggressive with it instead of playing the waiting game.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I want to do this year with the buck that I'm I want to say I'm chasing after one particular buck, but like I'm still not to that point, I don't think, where it's like, if a good buck walks by me, I don't think I can pass him up
Yeah,
because
that's
I want
tough. That's tough.
it's tough. Like I passed up one little 7 point before, and at the end of the season, I was like, I shouldn't have passed a 7 point up because I didn't get any, I didn't get another chance at any other deer that year. So it was like, you know, if a good one walks by me, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pass him up. Like it
Yeah,
just depends in that moment. I can't. No one can really say for sure in a moment, like if they're gonna pass up a deer or not, right?
I
But
know.
like, I want to be aggressive because, like you said at the beginning, it's like, you know, they're just deer. Like there's a lot of pressure in the woods all the time. Like
Right.
if one thing I've always heard is like if you bump a deer from its bed, that means that bed worked, and they'll come back to that bed at some point. Like they
I've heard
have
that
other
before
beds
as
too.
well. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And I mean, like, yeah, the bed works for them. And like I said, they'll tolerate pressure. But if you're in there 5, 6 times bumping them, he's probably going to shift out of there a little bit. I mean, he's not going to completely abandon the whole area whatsoever. I mean, they're so smart at being, knowing their surroundings, checking the wind and stuff. I mean, he might come back to that area and he'll be on edge a little bit, but I don't think he's going to jump all the way out of it.
no,
And like I said, now I'm after this deer back here. But like you said, if I get another deer that I have history with, there's a couple in the area that I have history with, and if they come in and it's a great morning, a lot of action, the buck comes in, gives me a good, 15-20 yard shot. And I can film it too. I mean,
hmm,
that might be hard for me to pass up as well,
yeah, yeah. Especially with self filming, man. It's like, you start doing all this stuff. It's like it means a lot to get one on film and be able to put an
Yeah,
arrow through at the same time. Like that's hard to do.
exactly. Very
Very
hard
hard to
to
do.
do. Yeah, very few
It's
people do it. I mean,
yeah. It's a I've always said too, like, it's all about that moment. Like if you call one in, you rattle one in, you scouted this area, and you
mhm.
get success in that area, it's like it means a lot more than just walking into an area completely blind and
Yeah. Oh
setting
yeah,
up and
definitely.
having deer come in. Like
Yep.
it's just it means so much more. So with the you said about when you find his sign. So I always like I hear people say that, right? Like
Mhm.
find the rubs or his tracks or anything like that. Tracks are one thing because you can physically see them, but rubs, like how do you dictate what season a rub is made in? Because I know you talked about that a little bit before. Like we were going to talk about that previous episode, but like
Right.
how do you just decipher pretty much when a rub was made?
I would say that for me, I'm out in the field so much
Mm,
that like I literally I'm out there in October, I'm out there in November, I'm out there in December. I mean, so like I physically get to see them as they appear. Like, oh, okay, that one's new, like that one's fresh. I
hmm
mean, because yeah, if you go into the say you took a year off and all of a sudden you went into the woods and it's April and you're looking at all these old rubs, yeah, it would be very hard to tell when exactly that rub was made.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, myself, I'm just out there so much that I physically see them as or in some cases where it's like, oh, I'm going through an area where does historically bed, and there's some rubs in there and stuff. It's like, okay, well, that was probably made in the late October, early November time frame. Hey, it could have been made a couple weeks later too,
hmm
like because like a lot of the places that I hunt, you'll see late October, November, all of a sudden this sign will just come out of nowhere. Like there's hardly any rubs in there right now. I was just in there, and then once those does start getting close and those bucks start working the bedding areas and in between, I mean they're just cruising, they're rubbing like crazy. They're feeding on some of the oaks there too at night, rubbing. Like a lot of it I've noticed just seems to happen like out in the open areas. It happens more, later in the year opposed to the stuff like really close to thick cover that's usually like earlier for me at least.
Now, do you still see them like laying down sign like that? Like when we're going to drop, it's probably going to be that pre-rut to rut time frame of like the last week to first week of November.
Right.
Do you see them like still laying down sign, like still hitting scrapes? Because in my mind, it's like he's probably just cruising, smelling, using his nose. Like, do you think
Mhm.
are they still hitting scrapes? Are they still doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I usually late October, early November, I'm getting some pretty good intel. They're
Okay.
working the scrapes in the area. I mean, like I said, it kind of depends on what stage of the rut you're in too. If there are does and estrus, I
hmm
mean, he might be doing exactly what you're saying, where he is cruising point A to point B, where he's trying to get there as fast as possible. He's dogging these does, and I mean, there's always some rubbing and scraping. As soon as that velvet comes off, there's always rubbing and scraping. I've seen where there was a doe that was we're not in estrus yet, but pretty close. She wasn't letting the bucks get close, and I've seen a couple different bucks chasing her, and I mean they were just tearing up the woods, behind her, and scraping up things. Like they were
Just
ready,
just
and she
waiting,
wasn't.
just waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Those could lead to some pretty interesting encounters, especially with like two semi-mature bucks. Like they could
Yeah.
go at it, and I've seen people have that before, like out in the western, Midwest states and all that kind of stuff. Like here in PA, I haven't seen too many bucks like
You
really
don't see it as much for
go
sure.
at it. I've gotten some on camera doing it, but it's not like they're like going out like you see on like Midwest whitetail, where they're just like they back
Yeah.
up and then all of a sudden, bam, they just go into each other. Like I don't see that in PA.
No, I think a lot of it too is okay. If you're out where you can, physically observe that, you're out on food plots, fields, things like
Mhm.
that nature, you can see farther. If the deer are out there, like it's definitely easier to observe it than in the floral patch or in a
Yeah.
big oak flat. I mean, I don't think like I've seen deer hit horns before, but I've antlers, but I've never I've never actually seen like a buck throw down. I've seen them get
Yeah.
aggressive towards the other deer and make some
Mhm.
pretty interesting vocalizations, but I haven't seen like them actually like go freaking
Yeah.
head for head and get into
I
it.
I have one. I have his shed, but he's aggressive. So like I have this one right here. He has a
Okay.
broken tine off right here. But every time I'd see him come in, like there was at the end of the season, there was I think it was a bachelor group of four buck coming to a scrape at the bottom. The one buck was bigger than him, like wider, everything like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like he's at the scrape, this guy comes running in, ears back, and all the other bucks just take off.
I
Like,
know.
yeah, and he went up at that scrape like it was like October 25th. Like he was working that thing, rack in the laurel bush,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. I'm like, geez. And this was like, I think it was like February 2nd. He was like doing this, and I was like, man, that's an aggressive buck right there.
Yeah, there's some deer there. That's just how they are. They're bullies,
Yep.
and
And you
I
can
know.
still you can
What's
still
that?
see it too, because like the camera, I still have the camera up, and like I have when they lost their antlers, I have him still coming in, and he still does the same thing, even with no headgear. Like he'll
Yeah.
still put his ears back, and every deer will run off.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes they just have their own personalities like that, and some are definitely more aggressive than others. It's not always the biggest antlered, deer being the most aggressive. I mean, you
Mm-mm.
could have a really good genetic 3.5-year-old buck and a 6.5, year old mule of a deer, and just
Mhm.
wipe the floor with the good genetic young buck because he just doesn't have the weight and he's
Mhm.
not seasoned yet.
Well, yeah, I think also as mature buck, like they're like grumpy old men, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't want to be around anyone. Like
Mhm.
that's the one buck that I want to go after this year. I never once saw him with another buck. Like in velvet, hard antlered, nothing. I
Yeah,
never saw him with anyone.
there's some like that. I've had the same, and even like with following the elk and stuff. I mean, there's
Mhm.
just some bulls that they're just loners, man. And I don't know what happened in their life, but they just run alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like when we get old, right? Like we don't want to be around people all the time.
You're right.
Like we don't want to
I know
be
what
in
you mean.
we don't want to be in an amusement park around all these teenage kids. Like it's like, God, I just want to go home and drink a beer.
You want to be around the right people. That's the
Right.
thing. You don't want to
You
be
want-
around a ton of strangers and little kids
yes.
running around.
Yeah. So with those, because I feel like a lot of your hunting is based around the laurel patches and like the
Yeah.
pinch points and for the rut, pre-rut, that time frame. Are when you're in the laurel, like, are you worried about when you go in there, like busting anything out? Like you going in there in the dark to go in there and try and get to that opening, or like, are you
Yeah. I'm not too worried about busting them out. I
okay?
mean, I've had I'll give you an instance where
Yeah.
we did some hunting before. I hunted with a friend of mine and my
Hmm.
brother, and I mean, so this was the south facing side, good saddle on it, and notorious doe bedding, lots of does bedded up on top. And I mean, we had the wrong wind hunt that day, but it was like a group hunt, and it's like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to go see what happens and go in. We bumped some does right off the bat, which I'm like, oh man, great. I'm like picking out the trees in the dark and stuff. There's does snorting. So set those guys up, and I jump up on top, and I mean, freaking, we get set up, and within like 2 hours, everything kind of calms down a little bit. The deer aren't snorting, they're not blowing out of there anymore. And like my one friend, he shot a buck, my brother shot a buck, and then I ended up killing that 9 point a little bit later. And it was like, man, if we would have stayed out of there because we were afraid of bumping stuff because of the wind. I mean,
Hmm.
that's just like with the rut. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. If the area is hot, things are going down, you might as well just get in there and hunt it.
And I think and that was around what frame was that?
That was November 5th.
Yeah. So I think around that time frame, like I think the more aggressive you are, the better, especially in that early morning going in darker o'clock. Like you bust things out of bedding areas, it actually would be like, okay, I bust some doe out of here. They're blowing.
Yeah.
I'm setting up. Like
Yeah, they're
it's like
here. They're here.
because
That's it.
yeah, because you think about it, like that buck, he's traveling from God knows where,
Exactly.
right? He just
Yep.
knows that there's does in that bedding area,
He's following scent.
right? And he didn't know that you bumped them out. So like
Yep.
he's just cruising the downwind side of that or the thermal side, whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Like I think it's perfect to bump
Yeah.
him out of the
I
bedding
mean,
area.
it worked out great for us.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we would have never went in there, I mean, that was probably the most iconic archery hunt of my career. Like we had no hopes because, oh yeah, the wind's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nothing. Everything's gonna smell us before we even get set up, and then we all leave with a. My buck ended up being 5.5 years old. My brother's was right around the same age. My one buddy, his was a little bit younger, but I mean, like we all came out of there with a punch tag on November public land too. I
Yeah.
mean, like sometimes you can get away with, you know, you can get away with more, and there's more luck, obviously, in the rut.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Like, so this is one thing that I think, would you do that again? Like, not this, like, obviously the same moment. Like, obviously, if all three of you went in, like, could harvest a bucket, and you'd 100% do that. But, like, would you, in that time frame, that let's say November 2nd to the 9th time frame, would you, like, be like, okay, I'm just going to find the thickest, nastiest thing and just walk into it and hope when I bump stuff out or, like, walk the with the wind going into it pretty much and be like, when I bump them out, I'm gonna set up and
Yeah,
just
I mean, like I was saying, what led me to this area was that I scouted this 3 days before. Like I got all these areas of rotation. This spot, it had a great chestnut oak mast. Okay,
mm,
there was a mast failure for everything else: white oak, red oak. This was the only food up on this mountain. So that concentration of food brought in a concentration of does bedding there more than normal.
mhm,
So when I walked this a few days prior, it was lit up. There was
yeah.
scrapes everywhere, fresh scrapes, rubs, fresh rubs all over the place. And I'm like, okay, stuff is going down. So, like I said, if I get into that situation again and I see that type of sign where it is red hot in there, I'm pretty much setting up no matter what.
So were those rubs and scrapes on the outside of this thicket or like were they inside of it?
Outside of it. Yeah,
Outside of it? Okay.
yeah, exactly. They were like right like we were talking about, it would be the downwind side of this laurel patch. These
Hmm.
bucks were cruising it, and I mean, they were just like leaving it right on that line of the laurel. And I mean,
Okay.
just kind of scent checking it, cruising it, working the scrapes, moving across. And I mean, there was probably 50 scrapes in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
Yeah,
that's yeah. That would definitely make me want to set up there too. If it was fresh scrapes and rubs, like yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
game on.
knew it was hot. I knew most of the does were up there, and I knew there was multiple bucks in there too. I didn't even have any cameras up in there at that point. I went in there, I saw the sign, and I'm like, man, this is fresh. When you go check those scrapes and they're musky, like this thing was worked this morning.
Hmm. Oh
So
yeah. What so if you're going, let's hypothetically speaking, let's say you're going in an area, a new area you never scouted during that time frame of the rut, pre-rut,
yep.
rut, whatever you want to do. When you're looking at the map with all your experience of like where laurel grows, where thickets usually are, all that kind of stuff, where would you first start looking at?
I mean, usually my first notion is always when I look at any type of map is to go with the topography. I like being up on the ridge, or maybe that first couple contour lines going down the ridge. Any type of saddle in there. Those are the places that, I mean, everybody does. If you're
Hmm.
just drawn to them, and it's like, okay, well, it's pretty much bottlenecks the activity in there. I'll check those first if I see any sign, and then I just kind of just slowly, move through my list. Like, okay, we hit the saddle, we hit all the other pinch points. I hit the face of the ridge, you know. So those are usually my go to.
Where do you see laurel growing at the most? Like, doesn't it grow like on a certain side more than another side?
I pretty much see it everywhere
Okay.
around here. Like
All right.
I mean, it depends. There's some areas that doesn't grow at all,
Yeah.
but like any of the tops, a lot of the big flats, they have a lot
Hmm.
of laurel, and even going down the mountain. I mean, there's laurel all over. Those places. There's not like, I would say, like, oh, south facing, there's laurel, and then north facing, there isn't any. It just
Yeah.
kind of all depends.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's all my mindset is like I always thought laurel grew on a certain side, but now that I'm thinking about it, it does grow everywhere that I was scouting. Like it was like that spot we talked about at the very beginning, that's on a like a south, would it be a southeast facing slope. Then
Hmm.
the other side on a northwest facing slope
Yep.
also has laurel. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I think it's just very invasive too. Once it
yeah.
gets rooted, it kind of takes off.
Yeah, and up in the areas that we're hunting, it's like it's one of the best spots for bedding.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, like if there's nothing else too, like a lot of the areas, that's all there is for cover. I mean, it's like more mature timber, laurel, and like that's not the only thing I hunt. I mean, I hunt some clear cut type
Hmm.
stuff, and I some river bottoms every once in a while. But I mean,
Hmm.
that's just kind of been my go to because the pressure. A lot of people don't want to go in there, and if you figure it out, that deer is there. Like
Hmm.
there's a couple deer where I know it's like he's bedded right in there. I need to wait him out. I need to figure out how I can get close enough and get him when he gets up.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever found their beds in laurel? Like a buck that you're after, have you ever found, well, I guess, have you ever suspected to find his bed?
Yeah, I've definitely suspected. I couldn't like 100%
Yeah.
verify it with like trail cameras or anything
Hmm.
like that. But during my postseason scouting, I don't let up. I mean, I'll run all that stuff, and I mean, I'll leave no stone unturned for that type of. And I found multiple beds that I suspect he's using, but I mean, there was 4 or 5 other deer in the area too. I
Hmm.
mean, very hard to say that that is 100% his bed and his bed only.
How many of those beds did you find sheds in?
How
That
many?
way like okay, this was his bed, right? Like if
Yeah,
you have.
so most of the sheds that I picked up last year, I think there was only a few instances where I found him in the actual bed,
Hmm.
and where he's bedded there in shed season, he may not be bedded in that same spot come archery season.
Right.
So it's kind of like non-conclusive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, in that wintertime when they're shedding, it's most like you said, south facing
Topography. Yep.
slopes, all that kind of stuff to stay warm and because
Mhm.
at the bottoms where there's more red oaks or white oaks still left over from the season, all that kind of stuff.
Thermal cover, yeah,
Yep.
anything like that.
Yep. Where what else? Oh, I wanted to talk about because you've said before that you're able to backtrack buck or backtrack a deer, like by camera, kind of. Did you talk about that before? Where like
Mhm.
you can kind of off the trail cam data you have, you can kind of like backtrack to where he's possibly coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that to an extent,
Right.
but like I said, I mean, you just see so many like shifts of
Mm-hmm.
what doe betting, the bucks cruising through because, like I said, like even this certain buck that I'm following now during the rut, like I have a lot of trail camera data on him,
Mm-hmm.
ton of not a ton of rut activity, but after the rut, when we start to get into the rifle season and the late season, I mean, I have if this buck could survive till then, I mean, I get 100% kill him. I mean, that's
Okay.
just how much data I have on him.
Yeah.
But during the rut, I mean, it just seems to be like more unpredictable because, like, okay, we'll say to the east, I have a set of doe bedding there. To the west, I have doe bedding here. Half a mile away, there's another point that the doe's bed. It just they're bumping around so much, cruising through there. I have a hard time like, oh, okay, what is he exactly gonna do? I mean, you could look at it where if you had, say, the first doe that went into estrus and he was there,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably a good chance if that doe is still alive, she'll probably be the first one. And usually, an old nanny doe that comes
Yep.
in like the third or fourth week of October, and all the bucks are freaking on their feet, trying to lay
Yeah.
down sign and check
I
up on her.
I have one. I think I have an infertile doe in the area that I'm hunting, because I was checking my camera the one time, and like this was in June, July, I
Okay.
think. She was laying in the scrape. Like she
Oh,
was just
really?
laying there, like no fawn, nothing, just kept laying down the scrape,
Hmm.
like
I
just
wonder.
waiting for
Yeah, I
someone
wonder
to come around.
what the deal was with that. If maybe maybe she had the fawn and it was just kind of held up in thick cover, not moving a whole lot. I mean, a lot of times the mothers will, the fawn will stay there and the mother will kind of, skirt around a little bit.
Yeah. I also thought that maybe her fawn was like killed by a coyote or a bear, and
Yeah.
like it was just, it didn't have a fawn now and just waiting for to be, have another one. Like have
Yeah,
a son
I
come
don't know. I
around.
don't know exactly how that works. I don't know if they would go back into estrus or it would, you know what I mean? Because that would
Yeah.
really screw things up. I would think that
Yeah.
once they have birth, that cycle's done, and they would have to wait till
Yeah.
November, late October, November again to, you know, for
But
that to take
that's
place.
just my thought was I was like, man, she must be infertile. And she just was like hoping one will come around because she has no idea that she's infertile, and she's just like waiting to be, you know, be mounted by a buck pretty
Yeah,
much
I don't know.
the
I don't
whole
know if
time.
I don't know if I've ever heard of that. Like
Yeah.
I get what you're saying 100%, but
Yeah.
I don't think nature can work like
No,
that.
no, it's really interesting. It keeps laying in the scrape. And I'm like, this is
Yeah.
really weird. Like, cause you
Yeah,
always
maybe it
hear
was
about like,
cooler
yeah,
in the scrape, that with the dirt and stuff. I
could
mean,
be.
who knows?
I, who knows? So, oh, there was, what else was I gonna, how many trail cameras do you run?
Oh man, I'm up to around 100 right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I have 33 cameras.
Hey, that's
So
pretty impressive. That's
yeah,
a lot of
I
cameras.
I don't think I want any more, to be honest, because it's a lot of
No.
work.
It is a lot of work, a lot of batteries, a lot of SD
Yes.
cards.
Yes, it is. And there's a benefit to it. There's a lot of data that you can pull from that.
Right.
Have you done any like data? Like have you looked at the dates? Have you looked at anything like that and be like, oh man, these dates, like why was this date? Why did I have so many
Yeah,
bucks on camera?
I've had lots of those where it seems
Okay.
like every single season there is a few select days that like every single buck moves multiple different areas. This ain't just one spot.
Right.
This is cameras that are spread out, you know, 15, 20, 50 miles away. Where I think one of the days last year was October 15th. I
Mm-hmm.
think we had a very cold morning. It was under 40 degrees. It was real foggy. And I had like three shooters show up on camera that day specifically, and obviously I wasn't. I was working. I wasn't in any of those tree stands at the time, but it was like we just got that like real cold morning, and all of a sudden, all these different bucks were fired up, in daylight. I've done some of that. I haven't done like anything nearly as detailed as like Steve Shirk does
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of his trail cam data. I mean, it's something I would definitely want to get into, and like
Yeah.
this year I plan on getting a little bit more organized, getting a good desktop set up, and
Yep.
trying to have more SD cards labeled and like put away, because a lot of times I'll look at stuff and be like, oh, okay, nice buck,
Yep.
daylight,
Yep.
and like kind of, put two and two together of different days by looking at all the different cards and stuff. But I don't have anything like completely concrete to where I'm like, okay, it was October 26th at
Yeah. Yeah.
7:35 a.m. every buck.
Every buck I know was daylighting.
Yep.
Let So you said October 15th, which that kind of goes along with what I saw too on my cameras as well, with that cold front coming in and the full moon and the feeding and all that kind of
Yep.
stuff, hitting scrapes. Do you did you see that? Do you remember that the previous year, that first cold front that really came through? Because October 15th was that first real cold front. Do you
Right.
remember that last I guess 2 years ago? Do you remember if it was the same way?
I don't think it was that early. I
Yeah.
think from the trail cam data before, I remember, first, I want to say it was like either October 22nd or 23rd. I'd have to go back and look at the historical data that I have on
Okay.
that. But I noticed there was some good activity, or like I'm noticing that in the big timber.
Mm-hmm.
It's heating up earlier than you think. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh yeah, October 30th, Halloween, blah blah blah. And I mean, I'm seeing more like October, 20th to the 25th, where all of a sudden this activity's picking up, and there's like your first like really good opportunities at killing some of these mature bucks. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm seeing a lot of that stuff, and especially in the big woods, heat up like early like that. But I can remember 2 years ago, I was helping out. I was doing some elk guiding and just like some recovery stuff. And I was busy for like 3 days. We had, I want to say it was like maybe the 29th or the 30th or something, but I was busy for a couple days. We had like this big front come in where it just poured all freaking day. I mean, it was a cold, like 45-degree
Mm-hmm.
rain, and I'm sitting there. Like I have quite a few cell cameras too, and I'm sitting there, doing this elk stuff. And I mean, my cameras are just shooter buck, shooter buck, shooter buck, like in the same area too. So like, I don't know if it was just they got up out of the laurel and they were moving that day,
Mm-hmm.
or that first estrus doe was starting to come in and everything was kind of getting worked up and moving around, or like I said, just because of that front, it,
Yeah.
it rained all day, and then it was like, okay, well, we're gonna go refresh some scrapes and
Mm-hmm.
go run around and see what's going on there.
Yeah, I'd love like right after it rains or mists or anything like that. It seems like those deer, primarily mature buck, are up moving and wanting to hit those scrapes because they want to be like the first one there to those scrapes to lay down the sign. Like it's pretty much like a dog marking his territory. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, this is my scrape.
I love when it's like we're getting into November.
Mm.
You get those like 42, 43-degree completely overcast, no sun whatsoever,
Yep.
very little wind, and it's just that white drizzle. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
not good for filming or anything, but I
Nope.
mean, just it's low light conditions most of the time. But like you have that feeling that a buck could be there at any second. It's just that time where you turn your shoulder and it's like there's a rack coming right
Yeah.
towards you.
Because the leaves are so like they're not crunchy. They're not like nothing can be really made. And then all of a sudden you
Yep.
just hear like you just look around, he's right
It's just
there.
boom,
And
he's right there standing
yep,
right at you. I've had
yep.
that so much, and I think they just have confidence in that setup too, where they're just like basically ghosts, just kind of
Mhm.
sneaking around. Like, okay, what's going on?
Well, I mean, also because like they always say how like a tracking dog, a blood tracking dog, if it's raining out, that like not a heavy rain, not a downpour, but like if
Hmm.
it's that little bit of rain, the scent stays longer on the ground. And it makes
Okay,
sense because
yeah,
like the thermals at that point, there's no sun to really heat the earth up for it to rise. So all the
right,
thermals are just like swirling on the
hmm,
bottom of the floor, and deer can just smell it nonstop. So I mean, it makes sense if in the rain they feel more confident because they can actually catch more thermals and they can catch more smells probably
yeah. I mean, that
with it.
could be the case.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Deer are amazing. I love
Yeah,
them.
I said I chasing them through the seasons, man. You just get so much respect for them. I mean,
Yep.
like they have that will to live, like nothing else I've ever seen. And I mean, like when you put so much time into tracking them and stuff, like
Hmm.
man, every opportunity you get, it's special anymore.
Oh yeah. So let's break down your
Okay,
last season hunt. So like let's talk PA first because you got the New York buck, right?
later, yep,
Yep. What
yep.
was the PA one like?
Well, the PA season, like I said before previously, I was chasing after
Hmm.
a really nice buck that I had some history with, and things kind of did not heat up the way I thought. We had a ton of mast, like this season coming forward, and there was mast everywhere, every elevation, up high, down low, and the deer really didn't seem to move a whole lot. And then getting into like late October, we never really got any good cold fronts. We had a couple
Hmm.
days of you know colder
Decent.
weather,
Yeah.
but nothing that we used to get. So like my first couple weeks of October, they were pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about October, it was either October 29th or October 30th. I ended up harvesting a black bear. I had a black bear come right underneath my stand 15 minutes before shooting light. And like I'm sitting there watching this bear at 50 yards, no lane, and then like the clock is ticking at that point. It's sitting there digging in this. Oh, it was like a big log. This bear is just sitting there digging. I don't know if it's digging for grubs or what. Just going to town on this log, and I'm like just sitting there like, come on, get closer, get closer. Well, eventually it beelined and it cut right underneath me at like 20 yards, and I made a real good shot on that bear, and I mean it didn't go all 50 yards. I mean it after the arrow impacted, it jumped and growled. And I mean, it was rocky in the area.
Yeah.
It broke. It actually broke its leg after the impact. Like it jumped, it like barrel rolled and broke its leg. And I mean, it died literally within, a
What
minute or
broadheads
two.
are you shooting?
Those were G5
Okay.
Ontex. They're
Okay.
fixed blade.
Yeah.
But I've had good luck with them. I mean, every deer I've ever shot with
Man.
them, dude, it's been an easy recovery. Not a whole lot of not like a crazy amount of blood,
Yeah.
but I mean like a lot of things have passed away within sight of
Yeah.
that, which is always a confidence booster.
Yes.
But I ended up harvesting my first ever PA black bear, and that was a pretty surreal experience.
Oh yeah.
So that was like the end of October time frame. And then I'm trying to do some guiding and stuff where I'm scouting at the elk range and stuff in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of getting boogered up at that point. And then I ended up, I think it was maybe November 1st. I jumped into one of my favorite sets. Always have like a lot of good activity in it. There's always bucks cruising it. It's historical. I mean, I go in there with a west wind, and then there's doe bedding right there. I'm set up behind where they actually bed, and as long as I get in there undetected, I mean, these bucks literally cruise like this, and I'm set up right behind them, and the west wind blowing back. Like I'm up on top of the mountain, I don't have to worry about the thermals as much where I'm at, and I mean they cruise right in front of me, and it's like a picture perfect setup for me. They have no idea I'm there, and I've actually I killed a buck there a couple of years ago, real nice 9 point in there. But I got set up the one morning. This was I think the Friday before I was supposed to start guiding, and one of the bucks I was after too. He wasn't a giant. I actually ended up finding his sheds too later. He came through, and I mean he read the script like perfect, just what I told you. He was
Yeah.
cruising. He was just scent checking to see what's going on with the does, and I mean he literally walked right in front of me. The one thing I didn't share previously was that the day before, or 2 days before, I was just practicing some reps. Just
Mm-hmm.
I always during the season try to shoot a couple of reps a day just
Mm-hmm.
to stay on it.
Stay
And
fresh. Yeah.
yeah, I well something happened where my bow like de-strung itself. Yeah,
Oh.
like the freaking strings came off the limb, and I mean it blew up right in my face, and it
Oh
was like,
man.
yeah, it was like the most like just depressing. Like,
Yeah.
dude, my season is ruined. Like
Right.
I was pretty upset about it, but buddy of mine, he wasn't hunting this year. He was busy with his business. He's like, hey, dude, you can borrow my bow. We have similar draw lengths.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave me his bow. I freaking sighted that thing in, and I felt good. Within a one day of some reps, I was
Yeah.
shooting pretty good 20, 30 yards. I wasn't going to go over anything like that.
Right.
And so I have this brand new bow that I've basically shot for a day. And when I climbed up in the tree, I just, like I said, dude, everything, I'm rushing, trying to get set up and stuff. And my rope, my pull-up rope, somehow it like broke part of the rest off. Like there's a piece of plastic on it, and it like just slivered this drop away rest. And when I got set up I got everything set up, got up on top, and somehow this piece of plastic got bent underneath my arrow shaft, and I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Like I said, I was kind of running a little bit late that day and just trying to get everything set up. Well, that buck ended up coming 15 yards right underneath me, and I pulled back on that. And I mean, I like everything felt good. I stopped the buck. I mean, he's sitting there not even looking at me, just looking in front and out in front,
Mm-hmm.
like 15 yards. And I just like everything feels good. Let go, and this arrow just like goes sideways and goes flying way over his back. And I'm like, what in the heck?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
like dude, I'm just like, what just and I just killed a bear, or not. I just killed a bear with that bow like the day
Mm-hmm.
before or whatever, like 2 days before,
Right.
and like I felt good with it, and like I don't know what happened, and then I looked down at the rest, and it's like the part of the plastic's like slivered off, hanging. And I'm like, the only thing I could think was that the arrow got thrown out of tune because
Yeah.
it wasn't sitting on the actual drop away rest. It was sitting
Mm-hmm.
on the plastic. And somehow it threw things way off and completely threw it over the buck. I mean, I'm very thankful that I didn't wound it or anything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I've never had anything like that happen to me before, and I mean, just completely threw it off. The buck looked at me, and took off. But I mean, it was a nice 10 point. I ended up picking his
Yeah.
sheds up, but like I said, that was my like one really good, solid opportunity. And a little bit after that, I was getting ready to get down. There was another nice buck. I actually found his sheds too. He circled out in front of me. He was a real nice 8 point.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was 40 yards. I'm like, there's no way. I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know what's going on with this thing. So it was just like one really good hot day, the archery
Mm-hmm.
season. And then I jumped into guiding for like 4 or 5 days. And and then after that, I mean, I felt like I was kind of playing just the behind game, like
Mm-hmm.
just I missed 5 days of being out in the woods. Now I'm trying to jump back into it, and like I passed up like a bunch of 2.5 year olds, not bad deer, young
Right.
bucks that I wasn't ready to harvest or anything. But so that was pretty much the archery season. I had a couple hot days, and then it pretty much kind of went bust after that. I jumped up into New York right after the archery season. And I mean, it was just one of those picture perfect hunts. I have a slug gun that I use. It's an 870 Remington that I have set up, a super mag set up for slugs.
Yeah.
And it was just perfect day, man. Just overcast, light rain, a little bit of snow. Just the woods was dreary. I'm like, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
up here. I'm going up. I'm going to see what I can,
Yeah.
get. And I freaking get up on this ridge where I was archery hunting, and so I'm just still hunting. I'm still hunting. I got the wind in my favor the whole entire time. Still hunting this ridge, and I get to where the normal bedding ridge is for the does, like just a little bit over the top. There's like a little flat. It's like real ferny, a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
cucumber and ash trees in there, and I'm sitting there like working my way down, and I look, and there's a doe bedded right there. I'm like, okay, well, I have the wind, the thermals, everything is in my favor. I'm like, I'm gonna sit here for a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of take in the moment, see what happens. It's still the rut up there at that point,
Right.
and I'm just kind of just enjoying my time. And I kind of look down, and there's like three other does sitting with her bedded. I'm like, oh man, we got four does right now. We're in even better shape. So
Yeah.
I sat there maybe 25 minutes, and then all of a sudden I look down, and here comes this buck, just like he read the script, just he comes up, just bumps those does right up, bumps them up, and he just like I'd say at this point he's probably 100 yards away from me. He's like, like they saw him, like, because they had the high ground. They saw that buck way before. He
Yeah.
bumped him up, and then they took off. They ended up like cutting down the ridge like this. Like he's coming from this way right here. And
Mm-hmm.
they cut down like this, and I'm like, watching. He's like dogging them and stuff. Like, well, that was a pretty cool, experience. I love being out there seeing that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like, well, it didn't come together, but maybe next time.
Right.
So they chase each other out of sight, and I'm like just kind of just sitting there, like just
Mm-hmm.
taking it in. 5-10 minutes later, all of a sudden I hear a couple grunts. There he is. He chases those does right back to me about 100 yards. And I mean, he stopped dead. And like I told you, it was thick. It was ferny.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bunch of dead cucumber and ash trees, a lot of blowdowns and stuff. He stopped right in this opening, and I literally pulled up my slug gun, rested it right on my knee, and just one shot just completely dropped him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't 100% sure of the hit just because those slug guns, they can be kind of inaccurate.
Yep.
So like I ran down as fast as possible to make sure he wasn't, still alive. And I mean, I ended up getting lungs on him. And I mean, with a slug, he was dead by the time I got down there. He wasn't even kicking or anything. So I felt good about that.
That's awesome. And then
So,
was it last year that you got the PA buck too? The one that shed its antlers?
yep. That
Okay.
was so I got that buck, and that ended up being a 5.5-year-old deer.
Man.
And it was a buck. It was actually the number one buck I was after. I didn't recognize it was him at the time, though.
Yeah.
Like he had a split brow tine, and I couldn't see that from far away. And like I said, that was the one that I was after because I was up there in archery season a day too, and had a couple good encounters with young deer that I passed up. But that was it, just one day. So after that, we went to PA, and I hunted with the family the first few days, and there we saw some does, nothing too exciting. And then during the week, I kind of still hunted myself. I only had a couple hours. I was out of vacation. I could only go out for a couple hours, and I ended up sneaking up on a couple decent deer, but nothing I really wanted to pull the trigger on. And I had one opportunity, that buck that I missed with the bow, but the arrow went sideways. I snuck up on him. We had a front that moved in. It was blowing snow. And anytime we get a front where we're just blizzard conditions, I'm out there, dude. Like, I love the snow. I love tracking in it. And anytime that stops, it gives those deer that instinctive, it's time to feed. And I mean, I snuck up on this buck. He was just in this oak flat, just digging for acorns all by himself. I pulled up. It was about 120, 25 yards. Just I didn't feel good with the rest. Like he was facing vertical to me.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm not shooting him, and I'm not making a shot like that. If he's not broadside, I'm not doing anything stupid.
Yep.
So he ended up feeding up the ridge, and I never saw him again until I picked up his antlers. But it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Ended up just hunting a couple places like that, a couple bucks here and there, nothing big. And then we were getting down to like the last week. I didn't have any vacation. I'm like, dude, it's Friday. I'm going out.
Yeah.
Calling to the boss. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be in. Just
hey, I'm sick.
Yep. Like, give me some AP time. Like, I feel bad doing it, but we're getting to the end here.
Yep.
So, and this is one that I really should have had my camera with me too. I just kind of dropped the ball on that last year. Just so much stuff going on, and that's definitely something I'm gonna make a better point this year. I got new lenses. I'm ready to go right now.
Yeah.
But I snuck out to it's a south facing side.
Okay.
And it's historically like it's good doe bedding. There's a lot of dewberries and stuff there that when it gets cold, the does in that area. There's no laurel. There's none of that stuff.
Yep.
It's all south facing cuts and dewberries, and the does will feed on the dewberries as soon as it gets cold. So I walk in the dark. I already have these trees picked out from my scouting, and I'm like, okay, south facing. It's the deer are starting to make that shift because of the rifle season. Like, I'm going to get set up and we'll see what happens. So I get set up. I was hunting from my Summit Climber that day. I get set up, and I mean, it was cold, dude. It was like 17, 18 degrees.
Yep.
That wind was blowing right up in my face, and I'm like, oh, thank the Lord that I had my my bibs on and stuff, because like, dude, it was brutal.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock, no movement whatsoever. Like, okay, things will pick up, once we start, the sun comes out a little bit, maybe. Just trying to, give myself a little pep talk about it.
Just motivation, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and I look over, and I have one big lone body deer to my left, standing there, like probably 150 yards away, just kind of looking at me. And then it kind of goes off to the side, and I'm like trying to scope it. I'm like, it looked like a big shed buck to me.
Yeah.
and a lot, and just the fact that it was alone, and a lot of these deer in this area, it is very, very normal for them to shed in December
Okay.
every year. Yeah, yeah, it's weird. Other areas I hunt, they don't shed. They don't shed until March. This
Right. Yeah.
they there's just not as much food, and
Okay.
they shed early there. But so I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, cool. At least I saw something. So I'm just kind of biding my time there. I'm going to sit all day. I don't care.
Hmm.
I had some food and stuff. Like I'm going to sit dark to dark,
Yep.
and all of a sudden I see three does get up. I can see this whole ridge. I'm like, I'd say probably about halfway down it. There's like a big flat there, and I'm just kind of watching like this new clear cut browse and the
Hmm.
dewberry meadows and stuff. And three does come up. They start feeding right in front of me. I'm like, oh, cool. There's quite a few deer in here. And then all of a sudden, I look down below me, and it's like, oh, I'm like, it looks like a doe, way down below. And then a spike comes out, and then the buck that I ended up shooting comes out, and I'm like scoping the one, and I'm like, oh, that's another shed buck.
Yeah.
There's two freaking bucks, and I had them both on camera that I believe,
Yeah.
they dropped their antlers the last couple days. But so I'm sitting there looking at that, and then I'm looking at the spike, and then the 8 point. I had trail camera pictures of him. Nice 3.5-year-old, not crazy big,
Yeah.
like a real wide buck, shorter tined,
Hmm.
but I mean, like a respectable 3.5-year-old.
Yeah.
And I'm like sitting there. I sat there, dude. I watched him for half an hour. He's just sitting there feeding, right in those dewberries, just feeding. And like this is where I should have had my camera, because I could have got some great footage of him just browsing. You don't
Hmm.
get that a whole lot.
No.
So I sat there, and he fed closer with the other deer, and I'm like scoping him. I'm like, oh, he looks decent. I'm like, not really exactly what I'm after, but like I like venison. I want some more meat in the freezer. I'm like scoping. I'm like putting my scope down. Like, okay, no, And then he's getting closer. He's getting closer, and he's probably 80 yards away. I'm like, I think I'm gonna shoot him.
Yep.
And he's sitting there just browsing, and he like kind of like put his head up, and he was looking, and like I had a rock solid rest at that point. I literally put right on him and just pulled the trigger, and he dropped. I mean, freaking, he didn't take a step. Literally just fell straight over. Antlers ripped right off of him. I mean, he didn't even jump. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, okay, like,
Yeah.
so I get down, and I'm like, I'm excited, like
Right.
calling people like, oh yeah, we got a buck down. And so I get down there, and I'm like, what is this? I look, and I'm like, did I shoot the spike? Or, I couldn't see
Yeah.
the antlers, and I'm not up to them yet. And I'm like, did I shoot the spike by accident, or did I
Yeah.
shoot the shed buck? And I'm like looking at him, getting closer, and I'm like, I'm getting that nervous, like my
Hmm.
gut instincts, like, dude, what did you just do?
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to freaking report this. I'm gonna be in, deep crap. And
Yeah.
I get up to him, and there's his side by side set literally laying right on
Oh.
him. So I mean, I tagged him as a buck, and that was a surreal moment to my
Hmm.
PA season.
Yeah. And out with a bang like that. That's. I mean, that's a pretty exciting ending to the season, though. Like you got to see all those deer feeding, and you get to watch them just feed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
front of you. Like
and
that. That's.
I had the thermals, I had the wind right,
Mhm.
and I'm just a bystander. Like, they have no idea I'm even there, and like those are the best setups where like
Mhm.
nothing's bumped. I'm just kind of chilling, and like I said, I'm hoping to have all this stuff on film this year. But I mean, like I don't regret the season. I mean, I learned a lot,
Mhm.
and another thing, you keep your what will keep your equipment maintained, and
Yep.
you know dumb stuff can happen. Be ready to be ready to shift if you have to. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Because archery shops, I don't know. They might be able to get it fixed quick, but I don't know. Like it
yeah,
just.
it took like a week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Because the strings didn't actually like tear off; they
Hmm.
just somehow came off the cams.
Yep.
So like they were still like in good shape. But like I said, I don't know what exactly happened there. But like it was. Oh man, I hope nobody has to go through that. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky I didn't like get injured or something too.
Hmm. Yeah.
Freaking get hit in the face or saw the eye.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that would have really sucked. That Luckily, it was just the bow, and wasn't your eye, like you said. Like
Yeah.
that's always my fear too. Like once in a while, like I'll hear something like move on my bow, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to pull this thing back. And I'm like, I'm nervous the first pullback I have,
Yep.
and I'm like, all
Just
right,
blows
everything's good.
up.
I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so where can people follow you at?
Yep.
And
So
like,
you got
subscribe, all that
you
kind of good stuff.
yeah, you guys can follow along. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram, all kinds of different content. That would be John Pro 28. And then you can also follow me on my YouTube channel. That's Outdoor Fit. And I post pretty much every type of outdoor content you can imagine on that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of different stuff you really don't see anywhere else too.
Oh yeah, yeah. You put a trail. The one you put out 10 days ago, which I haven't watched yet, is I put a trail camera on an elk wallow.
Yeah.
Lots of rattlesnake stuff, which I had an
Yeah.
encounter with a rattlesnake, and nope, not about that life, John. I'm
Oh,
not about
you
that
need to
life.
give it a try. You need to give it a try, man.
Well, the thing was, I was gonna go. It was during what was that? Might have been May time frame. I
Okay.
went out, and I was gonna take a break, sit on top of this rock, drink some water, eat some jerky, all that kind of stuff. Get
Yeah,
on top
good
of the
stuff.
rock, and then all I hear is, I'm like, oh Jesus, like,
Yeah.
and
Oh
it
yeah,
was like it was a rock like this. So like there was a rock up here, but then there was another rock down here, and
Mhm.
she was down here, like
Okay.
3 feet in front of me. And I feel like if that rock wasn't there, it was just like this, she probably would
Mhm.
have lunged because she was big. She was like she was that thick, and it was a
Yeah.
pure black one. And I was like, ugh,
Yeah.
no,
I mean, like I said, if you ever have any desire to go out, like I'll show you the ropes of it. We'll handle them. We'll tube them. We'll get some pictures. We could do a YouTube video on it. It doesn't matter. But I will tell you this though, like everybody starts out to where they fear rattlesnakes and they don't like them. But
yeah,
like myself, I see them in the same light that I see like whitetails. I mean, they're out there, they're doing their own thing. When you
hmm
really start to learn about like where they're at, where all the pregnant females are at, where the males' dens are, like how this like when you go out into some of these remote areas and like I can literally show you on a lot of these topo maps or in my
hmm
area, like okay, there's a snake den here, there's a snake den here because the sunlight lines up, perfectly those,
mm,
east southeast facing dens, like they're notorious around here. Like there will be snakes there and there'll be pregnant females, there'll be little ones and stuff, but like I said, if you have any desire to ever do that, let me know because I would I would be more than happy to
I
take you out.
I would definitely have a desire to do it with someone who knows what they're doing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's actually it's a lot of fun. I mean, like it's completely different. You have to be careful. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you don't want to be
Yeah.
stupid about things, but you don't want to hurt the snakes either because at the end of the day, they're just it's not their fault that they're venomous. They were just born that way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's kind of it's kind of petty
Yeah.
to. But I get it. I completely get
Yeah.
where people come from with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. Well, John, it's awesome. It was awesome talking to you about whitetails, and I mean, as we're recording this, we have opening weekend coming up. So I mean, it's
Yeah,
game time now. Game
Yeah,
on.
we should touch base after and see how
Yep.
like the season's played out. I have one question for you though.
Yep.
And what are your goals for what are your main goals for this season?
Main goals. I mean, we kind of touched on it before, but like just to have fun and enjoy it. Like, because I mean, with having another child on the way, I don't know how much I'll be
Oh
able to
man,
get out.
congrats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Now
Dude.
she's due after the season, so it's like
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that till after next season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I want to just go out there and have kind of like last year, have good encounters. Like
Right.
that's the main thing is like learn from the season, have good encounters, enjoy the time out, and not like stress about like
Yeah, because we do that. We do that a lot.
yeah,
We put more pressure on ourselves, and you know how it is when you're stressed and you make stupid decisions. Like
hmm
when you get other guys that just go and hunt, oh, whatever happens. Like those are the guys that end up doing good because it's like,
yeah,
oh, I saw a sign here and I set up. Not, oh well, the buck's doing this and he's going through here, so I
hmm
did something completely opposite of what I should be doing.
yeah, yeah. That's why I don't use cell cams in the area that I want to hunt a lot.
I don't blame you. They can hurt you for sure. I mean, they can help you too. Like if
Yeah.
you're after a certain buck, I
Uh-huh.
would say they can help you. But if you're after, just say your goal is to kill a mature whitetail
Mhm.
and you're just going off of the data from cell cameras, I mean, you could be over here one day in a different area the next day, and yeah, you could be skewed all over the place. I
Yep.
mean, the only time I would really use them is when I'm like after a specific whitetail, like how
Yeah.
I am,
Yep.
you know.
What about you? What are your goals for the season to end this?
Yeah, so some of my main goal, like you were saying, is just to enjoy the moment, be more present,
Mm-hmm.
and just I want to document it, but like I don't want to stress myself out
Yep.
about it. Like, oh, I need to kill a giant, I need to kill this buck back here. But I mean, I do have some like little goals that I set for myself. So like this year I'm going to be hunting up in New York a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kill my first archery buck up there with a bow, obviously the bow,
Mm-hmm.
and just a 3.5-year-old. It doesn't have to be some, monster giant, mega giant, all
Yep.
just a nice 3.5-year-old, decent rack buck. And film that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my main goals for there. And then we do some camp stuff up there too, where the rifle season, slug season, like we all get to camp and have a good time up there. Like just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy that moment up there. And like I said, archery season, I would love to, especially after last year not getting one with a bow. I would love to put down a good buck with a bow, but
Yeah.
like I said, I think that just enjoying it, enjoying family and friends and stuff. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be at the top of my list this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely, I think that's at the top of the list. Gonna be top of the list every year. Like that needs to be brought back into the whole hunting community in general, I think.
Exactly.
More
Not
camaraderie and not worried about, filming things so much. Like I love the filming. I love doing all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I love editing and putting it together, making a story out of
Yeah,
it.
story, exactly.
But
Yep.
like I don't want to just base my whole hunting
Off
around it.
that.
Like I want to bring it together, bring
Right.
the community into the videos I make and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
no, and I completely I get
Yep.
what you're saying. I mean,
Yep.
that's a good goal though. Just because it's hard to do. It's hard to document things and tell the story the way you want to as
Yep.
well.
It is. Well, John, it's been a fun episode.
Hey, until next time.
Till next time. See ya, everyone.